Brianna Pasiorka, Michael Patrick, Erica Whitney. USA Today Network, Tennessee, you got my back? Butch Jones screamed to his team, 3 times in a row in the Tennessee locker room, a moment captured on national TV before the Vols took the field against Georgia Tech. Considering the history and the situation for Jones entering his 5th season, that may have come across to some as a man screaming in vain for help. And he and his team certainly had their moments of helplessness Monday night in the opulence of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But the point Jones was making was that everyone in that room had to have the back of everyone else, which is a very Jones-esque message of inspiration, and as good an explanation as any for how the Vols walked out of the home of the Atlanta Falcons with a win. Maybe this program has great character and grit, Jones offered when asked about the struggles that required all that character and grit. And this was another UT performance that can be viewed however you want to view it. A mess of offensive dysfunction and missed tackles? Or a masterpiece of unyielding character and clutch plays when they were needed most? It was both. It was ultimately a win, so let's talk character. This team was done, getting steamrolled on defense and needing 3 quarters to find anything resembling an offense. Trailing 21-7 and then 28-14 in the 4th quarter. Searching for answers. Not finding any. And then somehow it won, 42-41 in double overtime, when a defense that gave up nearly 700 yards stopped Georgia Tech on the decisive play. The Yellow Jackets did not have to go for 2 but did anyway, seeking the win after scoring a touchdown to get within a point, and the Vols played the perfect assignment football that Jones and second-year defensive coordinator Bob Shoop have been talking about for months. Georgia Tech quarterback Taquan Marshall, who ran for 249 yards and a school record 5 touchdowns in his starting debut, took the snap and went option right, but UT forced him to keep, and defensive end Darrell Taylor smacked him. Marshall's desperation flip fell incomplete. Georgia Tech coach Paul Johnson said his team messed up the play from the start and that it should have been a walk into the end zone. He could also lament a late fumble to open the door and a shanked 37-yard field goal to win as time expired in regulation. I don't think I've ever been in a game where you run 95 plays and have 655 yards and lose, he said. But the Vols made plays to win, too, and for that they earned the celebration they enjoyed when it was over. After a half-second to realize they had won, Tennessee players streamed onto the field as nearly 40,000 UT fans roared their approval. There was so much to not like about UT's first performance of 2017, but there was everything to like about how everyone in orange hung around and kept at it. Quinton Dormady, in his first start at quarterback, victim of several early drops and his own jitters, made big throws in the 4th quarter to turn things around. Sophomore Marquez Galloway announced himself as a playmaker with June Jennings injured and out, catching a perfect fade from Dormady for 1 score, then turning a short pass into a 50-yard sprint for the end zone. John Kelly, quiet early but unstoppable late, tied the game with a 4th quarter rumble and then again with an overtime plunge. His 4th touchdown was the game winner in the 2nd extra session, with the Yellow Jackets gassed and overwhelmed. The Tennessee defense, well, what can you say? It probably won't recover statistically this season from the 535 rushing yards it gave up to Johnson's flexbone triple option offense. It was worn down quickly up front and mistake-ridden in the secondary, letting a receiver run free for what should have been the winning touchdown at the end of regulation. But if you see 3 linebackers who play harder this season than Daniel Bitchley, Colton Jumper, and Marquez Galloway, DVR it and don't delete it. Bitchley and Jumper were filling in for injured starters Darren Kirkland Jr. and Austin Smith, and they kept charging even when it didn't seem to matter. And when Rashawn Gowden forced a late fumble with Georgia Tech slicing through the Vols late to put the game away, recovered by Micah Abernathy, Tennessee had a chance. The Vols could put that, rather than the entire game film, into their little turnover trash can on the sideline. Ultimately, you really can't take anything from this game defensively, other than the fact that no athletic director should ever schedule Georgia Tech or any other team with this offense. The blame for that goes to former Tennessee aide Dave Hart, and, rest assured, he would have been on a long list of culprits had this game not flipped. Jones would have topped the list, and Knoxville would have showed him this week the true meaning of a society of negativity. There are three tiers of Tennessee fans right now: the Butch must go,